Hello YouTube, and welcome to my stream. Yeah, this is kind of the carryover from the Forcer's channel, but about this one, the uprising at the end of what's going on there right now, from the, for sure. Yeah, to find out about the uprising is the end up related to the insane and quotes from to to the water crisis and the reservoirs have just gone bone dry recently, and they end up triggered what we known as an air crisis is of some sort. He kind of afraid the water crisis in Iran they end up by trigger famines in the future because they end up technically most of the food in the here's the animals get yeah animals need only other animals for meat and others, but also crops to grow. Well, what do the both animals and plants need? Water. If you don't have water, you don't have crops, you don't have good amount, of animals for their meat, which means that they end up suffering, they end up for hunger. This point, they end up causing famine. And they end up Iran's only a water crisis, and not only they end up parched, but of some sort. And kind of afraid in the wind to push over that dust of some sort from the dry lakes. And the creates they end up like a bad sandstorm, and it makes Tehran to feel like you're on Mars. It just be really bad at this point. And they kind of fear that they end up in this drought that they last for a couple more months of some sort. It might cause increased threat for wildfires over Iran, which is gonna likely burn down everything of some sort. Yeah, here's a thing one now anyway. Yeah, here's the thing one now. Although Qatar, the enforcer did mention about in the end of use salt water as a preserved water source of some sort. I found out Qatar does it already. And Iran does not have the tech in the embassy in only building it, but they end up and they literally do not have the money either because Iran's on an enemies and worldwide sanctions for many years, and even worse, they literally have technically almost bankrupted itself. And the other Russia can't even help because it only got bankrupt all the way because of Ukraine. So that means they're literally SOL on that one. And even they're planning to move the capital, and the problem is, it kind of been there, done that type issue. Because although Bolivia, they moved their capital from La Paz and El Dorado to the flatlands, because you guessed it, a water crisis that happened in Bolivia a couple years ago caused them to move their capital to the flatlands. Well, it does not look better because it end up being the socialists got kicked out by like a huge protest because they end up Evo Morales, so they end up left to be overthrown by a right wing. Did they get back to the Louis in the end of 2025? He even lost election to right winger, and that's technically led to this day. So moving the capitals and the making situation worse for Iran at this point. So yeah. So they kind of feel some sort. They kind of feel that it was end up was with no water. They end up suffocating, led to no food. Because you can't make food without having water. So obviously, and they're kind of afraid the dust of the fires and the way that caused most of the city to suffocate, which has led to death. Also, without water, it led to water-related wars, and it kind of afraid, and then they might have to see the grand return to Iran-Iraq war in the future, because then they might possibly drag the U.S. back into the war against Iran after they went through the ceasefire back in a couple months ago about a 12-day war, and then they end up against both U.S. and Israel for Iran, which so technically means the Islamic Republic is technically on a deathbed right now, like of some sort. They end up waiting to the end of the for to get out of its own misery. Then they end up for the find out where it is. So this uprising is to try to try to overthrow the government as well, for sure. I'd not be surprised the Shah and even Islamic Marxist, so they end up by jump right into it. They end up related to a regime change too, because this led to, of course, and yeah, and they end up in front of for sure. You know, no, here's the thing right now. This regime change, and then they end up also exasperates itself thanks to the Cyprus Accords happened months earlier than that. Yeah, the Cyprus Accords is like similar to the U.S. and Israel's Abraham Accords. The end up is kind of similar to that, but it's kind of like it's mostly built by the Shah, and they end up to the end to help exasperate Iran's regime change to the transition to a transitional government at this point. And at this point, also the Shahs are in a forming known as the MIGA. It's kind of based on Trump's Mecca, and they end up obviously. So they did at this point. It really means Iran is kind of technically copycatting Trump's ideas, and they're trying to be based on Iran's idea for the Shah. So it's kind of obviously the end of the naked this giant shift in the pro matter and shit, so some sort. So I'd not be surprised. Yeah, for sure. Here's also they found out already. This regime change is also because I'm kind of afraid it might go in two ways. Either it goes to the U.S. side, and the U.S. just really want a full Shah return in Iran at this point, or the United Nations, so they might probably result in their regime change on their own at this point for Iran at this point, which I'm pretty sure the United States is going to either get cocked out at this point, and they end up their Iran thing. So they kind of fear the United Nations might plan to divide up Iran. On the west side, it's going to be led by the Shah, and at the end up in the east side, it's going to be led by a pro-China related Democrat Republic. And yes, both of them really wanted to overthrow the Ayatollah theocracy regime and replace with to the two directions. If the UN side might come to me, I think the US is only take the west side, even west side of Iran only. In the end, even west side of Iran too. China need to not only get East Tehran, but also to get East Iran too, which includes the Iran, the Baloch area of Iran too, which is underneath their control. At this point, which automatically means, it's good because we got like a DMC that built there instead. So obviously, so the end up know already that the America this was supposed to be the end up going for sure. And the end up. So this is kind of feared at this point anyway. And I'm also seeing the little reports from the end of planning this, but also here's the. They look from the monarchy side on Wikipedia of some sort. there's a separate thing known as a kingdom embassy, or if not embassy, is it embassy or assembly? So I think it's kingdom assembly of Iran. So known as Tundor. Yeah, I think Tundor, as you know already, is a violent way that they end up to try to restore the Shah and the means of violence and against the Ayatollah regime, and even also of some sort. And kind of fear to the end of Tundor is an ultra royalist, and they end up led to the end of Shah, so they end up absolute power, or they end up back in the some sort. The history under Shah very much a constitutional monarchy, and it kind of fears us from the shore, of some sort. Although the transitional flag is given the same colors as the main flag, but instead of you had the Alota's shield, instead you have the lion with the sun and other that looks like. And kind of fear the two-door and try to remove the green, white, red flag with the lion and the sun. They might remove that altogether, replaced with the Scythian flag, based from the Persian Empire back then. So yeah, the Afghan Tundors tried to reform the Persian Empire, and I'm pretty sure the Shah will reclaim Iran's new emperor instead of being the king. So this known as the Syrian Shah. So which is technically higher than the Shah itself in the Iranian royalship tree. So which means it's not be surprised at that point. So yeah. So yep, this is kind of very much on for sure. For Iran for sure that this is at this point for the future of Iran at this point. Yeah, this uprising not only see the end the people not only throwing stones and stuff, but anyway, there's some sort. Even saw the pictures the picture that's seen to be it had two big male lions with the rat. You're gonna get the Israeli blue lion and the Shahadam Iran lion there with the Islamic Republic of Iran showing a rat. Yes, they literally called the Shah, not the Shah, the Ayatollah. Yep, they literally called Ayatollah a freaking rat because he just trashed up Iran, which is technically really true because I found Ayatollah treats these people like trash, and they end up being destroyed. Yeah, the history Iran's been for horrible times. Because you got the the scene all the way said already, but Iran has we have a food crisis coming, air crisis already still going on, water crisis still going on, even with the drought. And also on top of that too, they even went through bombings like hell. And they end up from U.S. and Israel recently in the past. And they don't have a seceding. They run out of critical leaders because it only got shoot down by Israel of some sort. In the end, they do not have a backup because the other leaders he's supposed to choose have only been killed by Israel, but also killed by the United States. So technically means when he dies, the whole entire garment is probably be abandoned as a big abandoned ruin of Pompeii. So it's kind of really bad. So it's this point too. Even the nuclear sites that has been bombed, a lot of its energies has been bombed and otherwise too. Also, they have history of going for bankruptcy because of the sanctions of their businesses since the 70s. They also did try to recover since the Iraq war back in the 80s, 70s as well. The infrastructure is in shambles. Russia's kind of hurt them a lot to relate to the end of war in Ukraine. So it's a little insult there. And also, Iran has just been through trouble after trouble after trouble for many years. To the end of, so yeah, they just been through the end anyway. Also, Iran so they never give the people. Technically, Iran's not never give up money to the people. Instead, Iran only gives the money to the proxies and not yet, and yet the proxies are not looking much better either. The proxies are the end to get shoot at, killed at, or even worse, bombed at, attacked on, or otherwise by Israel. So technically means of some sort. Oh yeah, also Iran did shoot missiles right into Iraq. It kind of feared that this might lead to the Iraq to end up going back to war against Iran for a second time. Also, Iran-Iraq War 2 coming, which is might end up some sort. Which I guarantee the U.S. might jump back into that and end up for sure. So it kind of afraid in some sort. Plus, the uprising that might lead to a second worldwide protest because of, like I said, Iran has history of the protests all the way. Once back up, like 1 or 2 years ago, because well, of the Kurdish woman, they end up do not even wear a hijab, because they end up led to a massive white protest. So they ended a couple years ago. This might possibly lead to a spark to the another revolution in the wrong way to happen, and this might be a death blow for Ayatollah and his regime. Is because of we don't know what's going on. So yeah, the death blow is coming quickly the way it is. It's because, well, anyway, even the forcer the intervention known as defunct Islamic Republic of Iran. Yes, I said that right. The forcer is said by quote, defunct Islamic Republic of Iran. Yeah, this is said by the forcer for his stream recently. That kind of carries of some sort. In the end, even I said in the chat it says the Persian Empire is reborn. So yeah, that kind of means that the Persian Empire is kind of coming back. Even this recent post, anyway, showed us to the end of what's going on. And I will kind of bring you up at this point to know what I'm talking about for sure. What I mean, anyway. So, you end up, yeah, so they end up, and it took me a while, so, yeah, I see some pictures already related to Ron, and then they end up recently, anyway, is it related to issues, so they end up seeing already, so they've seen the Shah there, and Israel's issues and others, and yeah, you can see the dust in the end of from recently drought. At the end, it constantly feels like Mars. Here's another picture of the lions. I mean, there's some sort that's not the one I was talking about earlier. Too, if I can find, you got the good picture of the burning picture of Ayatollah. Yeah, so you got this old flag back then. So on the World Cup ball, see the old Shah got. And this I saw here as well, known as Rise Iran, a campaign for free and democratic Iran at riseiran.com. So yeah, it's mostly there for the recruitment to support the rise of Iran. So, which you should stick on that. I remember the old flag, and some say this is kind of what it looks like back then. And here's a better shot here of what it looks like. So yeah. Also, yeah, this picture here, to look kind of closer, it shows not only the Cessian flag, also got the first first Persia flag right down there at the bottom with the bird symbol. So it kind of give you mostly the clue. Here's another good of the picture of the second Persia flag right here. Notice here, so it's, yeah, so here that shows you a bit what I'm talking about. Anyway, yeah, I continue scrolling down at the end. I know known for the post recently. Oh, you remember how bad is in the air quality is? Yeah, there's a post right here from the Hamburg at the end of showing. We got the Iranian arch thing covered with the gas mask. The news is that this comes to the cause of huge white suffocation of the people because of air crisis going on there, which has caused major issues. In the end, this is how bad the air quality is. Look at the highway; it's like really disgusting. So, yeah, it kind of gives you the clue of what I mean about it. So, yeah, it kind of gives more clues about it. You know, if I'm for sure. Yeah, also, this is also the end up kind of neat. This is taking the future of the Shah, found out for sure. And yeah, this is gonna give me a little bit apart there. You know how bad the air quality is from back then to now? Yep, that's the. If you look on your left, that's the air quality going through right now, and that's kind of horrendous. It literally feels like in a dust storm. So yeah, so it's kind of bad. So, so yeah, and they end up. This is the kind of good experience itself about Ron right now, and yeah, this is how bad it is. It's a good drop with the inhabit pretty bad. So yeah, so here's a better picture of the symbol again from the Second Persian Empire. Yeah, so and here it is. Yeah, from East Main Base to the end I mentioned right now. Iran is in the uprising and chaos right now. Right after a huge news of the known as the Cyprus Accords. That means in the Shahamian Shah and Islamic Marxist, aka the National Council of Resistance, with the support with the uprising, a regime change will a regime will change soon now, and also right below it says the Iranian government is dead, which has issues with the water and air crisis. It's like Africa, would be feared. We fear a famine will happen soon because no water. That's why the uprisings is happened. Plus the water crisis will start a war against Iraq, which is bad. Otherwise, it's shocking. So yep. It kind of gives a little bit obvious that they know what's really happening in Iran at this point. So yep. And to give a little bit of clue that they ain't never do know what's gonna end the direction that might lead to. And yes, is the end of it for telling the truth right now. I'm pretty sure that yeah, he end up all the tell is I think it's mostly rolling right into his grave with his with the garment but followed right into it too. And the kind of fear that the Iraq war might happen is gonna be developed even harder than that. I'd not be surprised Islamic Republic's government is not gonna last long because of this, so and otherwise it's gonna be just the way it is. And you got the problem is you got potential war and the potential also and yet even worse the United Nations cannot even help out with Iran as with the water crisis, even with the air crisis. They literally had to do this by their own with a some sort. It's kind of it does not look kind of bleak in the way it is of some sort. Because it kind of create the United Nations and what you plan to do is mostly is regime change to help Iran out with the war situation of some sort. Because only I know the United Nations will not help out with the countries that are led by terrorists. So, which, because I'm pretty sure Forster said that the Ayatollah is a terrorist, which, with the Anastasia, the state agreed to his word, he is. So they kind of think a little bit more obvious is the same one though is, yeah, the only way that Iran is going to fix is required a government overthrow. Yes, some sort. Despite Iran is the second largest oil and natural gas in the preserver at this point, just only behind Venezuela. Yeah, this might be the end of, give me the end of, like something really good is gonna happen to the U.S. and the West in the future that this happens. So anyway, this is why I really had to watch Iran so hard about this one. Because I know what's end up coming. It's gonna be not only shocking, but this will change. In the end, see the Middle East is in the future. But end up without here's the thing, without Islamic Republic of Iran, the proxies will end up by die out or dissolve itself, or even was disbanded. So the Houthis might end up being disbanded. Hamas has probably been disbanded. The Houthis is also not Houthis. Hezbollah is gonna end up being disbanded too. See for Amal movement, yeah. And also Islamic resistance about Bahrain and even Iraq that they also be disbanded. So yeah, they even also some proxies in Saudi Arabia, which is controlled by Iran, and even also ones in Nigeria, it's also being disbanded too. So it's all probably wrong and false. So yeah. So this is why I really watch on Iran is very carefully in some sort, because if the government is going to be overthrown, this not only changes the future of the Middle East, but this maybe is going to cause widespread news. Anyway, I really know what's going to come for sure. And I'm pretty sure that I think the most likely go to the United Nations on emergency transitional government by first into U.S. decides and kind of afraid China might chop in or divide Iran. So this is kind of the main feels probably come to be because they're kind of afraid this might come to be for sure. And that might be it. So yeah, that's it for this stream. Like and subscribe at the end of like of some sort. See you in the next video, everyone. And the Joshua Cat here, but I'm Friday. I'm out of here. So, and yeah, like, subscribe, ring the bell to the end of. Do not miss any more videos and they relate to my channel and even my branded channel. Networks of podcasts on YouTube. So, otherwise, so see you in the next video. And otherwise, let's say beep, beep, beep. At the end of say. Otherwise, they're gonna say about say right now is. Have a great night or day wherever you live in of some sort. And see you guys next time. So bye, and otherwise bye for now.